Have you ever been super thirsty? Like when you're working out and your body is just craving fluids. Your muscles might be cramping as a result of it, and so you go over to the drinking fountain, or you reach down and grab your water bottle or a Gatorade or Powerade or something. You just drink it down because you're just dying of thirst. Well, Jesus talks about this from a spiritual perspective. In John's Gospel, in chapter 7, verses 37 and 38, he's talking to the people on the highest day, or the most holy day, or the most celebrated day of the Feast of Tabernacles. And he says this to them. This is in John 7:37. He says, "Let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as the scriptures have said, rivers of living water will flow from within them." And he's talking about the life of the Spirit. He's talking about Acts 2, Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit comes, and the life of a New Testament believer, the life of a Christ follower, that we'll have the Holy Spirit within us, and he will provide for us the water that we need. The water that we need. The water that was prophesied in Isaiah 55, that we would have this water that would flow forth within us. And Isaiah is prophesying hundreds of years before Jesus about the power of life in the Spirit once Jesus dies and raises from the dead. The era of the Spirit, the era in which you and I live. That we can depend on the Spirit of God to be the water of our souls. Just like in a workout, when we're just dying of thirst. Jesus says this on the high day of the Feast of Tabernacles. And one of the things that the Feast of Tabernacle commemorated was the miraculous provision of the water when the Israelites were dying of thirst in the desert. And God instructs Moses to take the staff that he'd parted the Red Sea with and to go over and strike the rock, and out of the rock would flow this water. And it does miraculously. And Isaiah, looking back on that event and forward to the event that is Jesus and the coming of the Spirit and the age of the Spirit, it's all prophetically looking at the life that you and I can now enjoy, where we have the Spirit of God within us to satisfy the cravings of our soul, like water when we're dying of thirst. The Holy Spirit, when we need him to help us with all that we're going through. And you may be going through a very difficult time. Call on the Spirit of God and he'll help you. He'll give you sustenance. He'll give you water for your soul and encouragement in a way that none other can. And you may have a friend that really needs encouragement. You can be that water to them. You can be that. See, the water flows out of you and gets everybody wet around you, kind of. It's sort of like that image. And there's no doubt people in your life that really need the water of the Spirit to come emanating from your life and overflow into them, like a worship experience, and when they are around you, they find you so, encouraging and so full of faith. Even though you're struggling yourself, you still come to this resolve, this place of inner strength. That's all a result of the Spirit of God. And that's what draws your friends to you, but really to Christ. It's a weird miracle, isn't it? Like the kindness of God flows through us toward them, and then they are drawn to God as a result of it. It's all a miracle. And it's all because of Jesus. And it's all because of the power of the Spirit of God in your life. And you can depend on him for anything. Strength when you're struggling and wrestling repetitively with that sin pattern that just drives you crazy. Go to the Spirit of God. He'll give you strength for your soul. When you're not being very gentle, when you're not being very peaceful, when you're not being very good, or all of the qualities of the fruit of the Spirit, go to him, pray to him, ask him, and he'll give you water that will flow forth from your inner being. And it will not only affect you, it'll affect everybody around you, the work team in which you find yourself, the neighborhood in which you find yourself. Let the water of the Spirit flow out of you. First, out of you, but then into everybody else.